So what's going on, guys? DIY Dan here, and this is another episode of Day to Day Around the House. In this video, I'm going to show you how I got rid of some bees that I believe were looking for a place to start building a hive. Now, I go in my side yard pretty much every day, so lucky enough, I saw them. I don't believe the queen was even here yet, and they had not started building a hive. And if they had, it was very early in the process. Otherwise, I would have had a lot harder time getting rid of them. Now, if you end up encountering some situation like this, the reason that made this very difficult is because they were underneath my shed, and there's no real way to get to them if they started building a hive here. If you just have a beehive start in one of your trees, you might be able to call a beekeeper, and he might actually come displace the queen and grab the hive. However, with a situation like this, if they started a hive under this thing, it would have been very difficult to get them out of there, because once they start producing that honey, they're not going to want to leave that site because the queen is not going to leave that site. So this is about the fourth time that I've used this method, and it's worked every time. So years and years ago, I'd actually bought this dial and spray garden sprayer that attaches to a garden hose for killing vegetation. However, instead of filling it up with vegetation killer, I fill it up with a heavy concentration of liquid dish soap and water. I set that sprayer on the maximum concentration it will spray, and then as that mixture comes out, it's a very foamy substance which kills the bees. If you happen to have a small electric pressure washer with a car wash bottle, I think that would work really well too. When filling the dial and spray bottle or the car wash bottle for a pressure washer, I would go 1/3 dish soap to 2/3 water probably. If it's just a couple bees you're trying to get rid of, you could do a spray bottle like this. Or you could use one of these hand pump pressurized sprayers. And for those mixtures, I would go 1/4 dish soap to 3/4 water. Now, before actually going to try and kill the bees, you want to make sure you do have a foamy substance coming out of whatever you're using to spray. And therefore, it will be effective. You don't want to go into this with something that's not going to do anything and give those bees a chance to get pissed off at you. Now, the other critical to this is make sure you are highly protected. You'll notice my makeshift beekeeper suit, long pants, long shirt, gloves, my riding helmet, and shoes. Now, because I knew these bees hadn't been there very long, because I keep an eye on my side yard pretty well, I didn't protect myself as well as I have in the past. When I went and helped my neighbor get rid of some bees that were in her jacuzzi that had been dried up and had been there for a couple months, I protected myself a lot better. I put my collar up into my helmet. I also used duct tape to wrap around my shirt to my gloves. I tucked my shirt into my pants, and I also used that duct tape around my pants to my shoes. Because I didn't know what to expect out of that situation, I hadn't directly witnessed it. I was just going off of what my neighbor said, and I figured it was better to be safe than sorry. With this situation, I know they hadn't been there long, plus I threw some rocks at my shed to see if a whole bunch of them would come barreling out from underneath it, and that didn't really happen. After going through about 2 bottles in the garden sprayer, there was no activity left. I did go out a couple hours later to see if they were coming back, and they did not, and I also checked it the next day. Now, using soapy water will incapacitate the bees as soon as it hits them, but it will not kill them right away. It does take a little bit because it is basically drowning the bees. Now, I do highly recommend calling a beekeeper. If you do have bees show up under an eave of a house or in a tree and it's very easy to get to, before trying to exterminate them. Because as a general rule of thumb, bees do a lot more good than they do harm. This is a quick video of a hive that we have down at my work. So this hive has been here probably over 5 years. A couple of years ago, we actually tried to get a bee box and lure them in with sugar water. We attempted that for a couple months. Once that didn't work, we tried frustrating them by running an exhaust pipe underneath the Connex box and letting a vehicle run for about a half a day. We also used a huge air compressor to try and piss them off that way to the point where they would want to relocate. But nothing is working with this set of bees, and if we can't find somebody that might want to rehome them in the next couple months, unfortunately, you might see another YouTube video popping up of me having to exterminate those bees using the same method that I did in this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and it gave you some good information. If so, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. The whole concept of my channel is to give you guys the most information in the least amount of time as possible so I don't waste your time and save you guys money by doing it yourselves. Hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Later.